What's up guys, welcome back. Today in this video we're going to be doing a tag video. This is a horror tag video called the Killer Flicks tag. Now I first came across this on the Sinister Cinema Reviews channel. This guy is awesome. He does a lot of like series reviews. He does like all the movies and he's just a cool guy. He's always got like a really cool backdrop and he always wears cool t-shirts, so go and check that guy's channel out. He's awesome. So basically this is 14 questions relating to horror movies really, and starting off we've got number 1, favorite vampire. Now I was struggling to choose one out of like a list here, and I just went for the obvious one here, which is going to be David from the Lost Boys, played by Kiefer Sutherland. Just the way he talks and like his 80s like glam rock style, I just really like the character David, and he looks really badass when the makeup comes in and he's got the big teeth, and he just looks like a badass, so I'm going to go with David from the Lost Boys. Number 2, first horror movie I ever saw. Now I can't really recollect which was my very first one, but I do have a very vivid memory of me being about 4 or 5 years old watching Alien on the couch, which is probably something I shouldn't have been doing. And I also have a memory of having like a VHS. My brother had a VHS tape from television of the Friday the 13th movies, and it had like part 1 and part 2, and I think I watched them like back to back over like a day or so, so I was very young when I watched them too as well. Number 3, best setting for a horror movie. Now this one I would normally say something that you'd see in Home Invasion, so like a house, but normally it's the ones where the house is in the middle of nowhere in the wilderness. So I would say something like you see in The Strangers, where there's just a house in the middle of nowhere and people come and attack the house. I think that's the most scariest location because one, it's somewhere where you live, where you expect to be safe, and if it's in the wilderness you've got nowhere to go, so that's my choice. 4, movie I'm embarrassed to love. Now this one is not really one I'm embarrassed about, but I know it's a film that a lot of people kind of hate, and it's going to be the Friday the 13th 2009 remake. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I did love it because it felt like a combination of the first 4 movies, which are probably some of my favourites in the franchise. So they mix like the sackhead Jason with the hockey mask, and in the beginning showing the death of his mother. So I really enjoyed those aspects of the movie, and to be fair, Derek Mays plays probably the most intimidating Jason out of all of the Jasons. Number 5, a film based on a true story and how accurate it is. So I'm going to go with John Carpenter's The Thing. No, I'm actually going to go with, it's more of a thriller than it is a horror movie, but it is based on a true story and it is sort of brutal. So I'm going to go with The Zodiac, which is a film by David Fincher. It's based on the true story of the Zodiac killer, and he basically got away with murdering people for over 30 years and sending in like cryptic messages and phone calls to like the media, and I just love that film. Apparently it's very true to the story, so yeah, I really enjoyed The Zodiac. That's my favourite film that's based on a true story. Number 6, a director that hasn't directed a horror movie yet, but you'd like to see direct a horror movie, and for this one I'm probably going to go with Denis Villeneuve, the guy who did Prisoners and the new Blade Runner 2049. I just love his visual style, and Prisoners was quite dark and quite bleak, and if he could do something along the lines with like a slasher or a serial killer movie, I think he could do it really well, because Prisoners is like a great movie. I love Prisoners, and if they would have like changed it up a tiny bit into like it actually being like a dark killer film, I think that could have been great. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Denis Villeneuve, however you say his name. Number 7, toughest film to watch. Now there isn't many films that have been that tough to watch for me. The ones that really affect me the most, I guess, are the ones that are all about like torture. I hate to see people just being tortured when there's no way out. So I'd say the Hostel movies. I enjoy the Hostel movies. I love gore, but just seeing someone strapped to a chair who has no like way out, they kind of like aren't too fun to watch because I put myself in their shoes. So yeah, the Hostel, especially the part with like the blowtorch in the eyeball, that was just savage. Number 8, favorite final girl. This one I really couldn't choose. All of them are pretty good, but a lot of them are just generic females. But I guess I'd go with Scout Taylor Compton from the remake of Halloween. I don't know why, I just really liked her in the character. She's just like a down-to-earth nerdy girl, and I guess I just kind of like her character, so that's what I'm going to go for. Number 9, a film that has scarred you. This one I'm definitely going to go with I Spit on Your Grave. I watched this when I was very young, and that bathtub scene just traumatized me for life. You know what I'm talking about. It's the scene in the bathtub, and yeah, that just scarred me for life, and I'll never forget it. Number 10, favorite soundtrack in a horror movie. Now this is one that I actually watched very recently. I couldn't decide because I've not seen a lot of horror movies that do play on the soundtrack that much. It's usually the score, but it's The Devil's Candy, which came out a couple of years ago maybe, or maybe 2016, but that is filled with like metal tunes from like Metallica and Slayer, and I just really love those songs in the film, and it got me really pumped. And like when the credits were rolling, I was like singing along. So I guess I really love the soundtrack to The Devil's Candy. 11. Best kill in a horror movie. A kill in a horror movie is usually the best when it's the most creative, when it's something you can't think of yourself. And there's been a lot of them over the time, but at the moment the one that sticks out to me the most, it's not the most creative, but it's the most fun for me, and it's the Jason Takes Manhattan boxing match on the rooftop, where Julius, the boxer, he's basically punching Jason for about at least 2 or 3 minutes straight, all the way to the edge of the rooftop, and his knuckles are bleeding because he's been punching him so many times, and he's just exhausted because he's been doing it for so long, and he just tells Jason to give him his best shot, and he just cleans his head off with one punch straight away, and his head falls off the roof and into a trash can. So yeah, I love that kill. 12. Greatest performance in a horror movie. Like I said, I couldn't really pick one. One that stuck out to me the most is more of like a psychological horror film, and that is Jacob's Ladder, and that's Tim Robbins as the character Jacob. I think his name's Jacob, and he was just like a very good performance. Really, he was very like emotional, and you could tell he was like grieving, and just all the amount of shit that he goes through in that film was just traumatic. So yeah, I love Tim Robbins in Jacob's Ladder. 13. A movie location or setting that you would love to visit. This is a no-brainer. Everyone I know who loves horror, they want to check out Haddonfield, or wherever Haddonfield was filmed. I'd love to go to all of the scenes from Halloween, like the school, the street where Michael pops out around the corner, just every location from Halloween I'd love to go and see. And 14, this is the final question of the tag, and this is, who's a killer in a movie that you really sympathize for? And for this one, I would probably say the killer in Silent Night, Deadly Night. I can't remember his name right now. Is it Billy? He's a kid, and at the very beginning of the movie, his parents are murdered by a Santa Claus who kills them and like tries to like rape his mum, and he sees all of it, and he just carries on with him the rest of his life. He gets put in a care home where he gets like beaten by nuns, and they try and force him into a Christmas play after all the things that have happened to him around the Christmas time with Santa Claus, and he just snaps and he kills people. And it is very like sympathetic towards his character. The things he's doing are pretty bad, obviously, but you kind of feel sorry for the guy in the end. So those have been my answers to the questions in this Killer Flicks tag. Killer Flicks is actually a Facebook group, so if you want to go over and join that, if you like all things horror, then there's a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other horror fans in there, and loads of questions and cool things to join in with. So go ahead and join that group. I hope you've enjoyed my answers, and if this is your first time checking out the channel, then go ahead and check out the rest of my content to see if there's anything you might like. And yeah, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.